From stories across the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Nityasa Chandra.
Hello there, very good evening indeed. I'm Javed Bongzo and we begin with the headlines of tonight's news.
Draft bill of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution tabled at the Parliament. President says the United Nations is expected to place due emphasis on non-interference in domestic affairs of other states. Former President Maithripala Sirisena appears before the Easter Sunday Commission for the first time. A change in the bus priority lane from tomorrow. President decides to visit grassroots areas to address people's grievances. Palestine quits the Arab League.
In your top story this evening, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the United Nations is expected to place due emphasis on non-interference in domestic affairs of other states. Now, he made these observations in a pre-recorded statement at the high-level meeting to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the United Nations yesterday. Marking the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, a one-day high-level meeting of the UN General Assembly was held last evening at 7:45 p.m. on Sri Lankan time. State leaders and delegates of 180 countries made their representations at the summit through online platforms. Addressing the summit, the President said that Sri Lanka was able to successfully face the challenge of COVID-19 through a proactive intervention. The President observed that the world has been plagued by the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, which has jeopardized economies, health systems and societies.
I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Sri Lanka to introduce an address by the head of state.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, Ayubowan. I am deeply honored to represent the people of Sri Lanka on this historic occasion. Unfortunately, the world is not what the founders of this august body envisaged 75 years ago. The world is plagued by the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, which has jeopardized our economies, health systems, and indeed our societies just within a few months. Sri Lanka was able to successfully face the challenge of COVID-19 through a proactive intervention. We established the National Action Committee for preventing COVID-19 even before the first patient was detected in Sri Lanka. Our approach synchronized the military, health, as well as civilian authorities of national and regional levels. Sri Lanka's recovery rate stands over 90%, well above the global recovery rate. Our success story owes much to our reliance upon tracing and quarantine, which was our greatest strength. Sri Lanka has not reported a single case arising within the local society for over a month now. Excellencies, Sri Lanka has committed to the 2030 agenda of sustainable development. Poverty alleviation through an agri-based production economy is a major goal of my government. The steps that we had initiated earlier this year for enhancing local production, partial restrictions on imports, as well as assisting small and medium scale entrepreneurs paid their dividends. As we celebrate 65 years of UN membership this year, Sri Lanka is pleased to have contributed significantly to United Nations agenda, ranging from peacekeeping operations to programs of its specialized agencies. At a time when the world is facing a common and unrevealed threat, the United Nations we need, I'm certain, will place due emphasis on the sovereign equality of states, respect of territorial integrity, and non-interference in their domestic affairs. Excellencies, I firmly believe that partnerships fostered between member states and the UN continues at their best when no country is held hostage to the interest of a few. Sri Lanka is hopeful that we of the United Nations would rededicate ourselves in efforts to strengthen this great institution to ensure the future we want. We owe our people and future generations no less. Thank you.
I wish to thank the President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Something that changes your life story. Litro Gas.
And the draft bill of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution was presented to the Parliament today. The draft bill was presented by Minister of Justice Ali Sabri. Any citizen can challenge the constitutionality of the bill through a judicial process within a period of a week, beginning from today.
ශ්‍රීලංකා ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ජනරජයේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ සංශෝධනය කිරීම සඳහා වූ 20 වන සංශෝධනයේ තුම්පත මම ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා.
Upon the announcement of the Speaker Mahindayapa Abeyewardene, the draft bill of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution was tabled at the Parliament by Minister of Justice Ali Sabri. The opposition parliamentarians representing the Samagi Jana Balawegya staged a protest after the draft bill of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution was presented to the Parliament. They staged the protest to show their objection by displaying placards while wearing black shawls. The opposition parliamentarians then approached the middle of the parliamentary chamber to stage the protest. The MPs of the government also arrived at the middle of the chamber to protest against the actions of the opposition. The other opposition parliamentarians, apart from those who represent Samagi Jana Balawegya, remain in their allocated seats.
උත්තරීතර නොවන 20 වෙනි සංශෝධන ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නට මේ රජය කටයුතු කරනවා.
එතන රීති ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැත. ඔව් අගමැතිතුමා.
ගරු කතානායකතුමනි.
දැන් ඔබතුමාලා ඉඳගත්තා නම් හොඳයි අගමැතිතුමා මොනවද කියන්නේ කියලා අහගන්න.
However, Speaker Mahindayapa Abeyewardene opted to continue with the parliamentary proceedings amid the protests.
පක්ෂ නායකතුමා ඉඳගන්න.
Now, in the meantime, parliamentarian Professor Charitha Heras has been appointed as the new chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, also known as the COPE Committee. The new appointment was made during the first COPE Committee meeting of the 9th Parliament held today. The proposal to appoint Professor Charitha Herath as the new chair of the COPE Committee was presented by Minister Mahindananda Alugamage. State Minister Jayantha Samaravira seconded the relevant proposal. The first task of the COPE Committee convened at the Parliamentary Complex this evening was to elect a chair for the committee. No other nomination was tabled for the chairmanship of the committee. The new chairman of the COPE Committee, Professor Charitha Herath, is a professor of philosophy at the University of Peradeniya. Professor Charitha, who held the post of secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media in the past, was elected to Parliament during the recently concluded general election as a National List MP. Chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, Professor Charitha Herath, said that the committee and the public representatives in the Parliament have been vested with the responsibility to conduct post-reviews on the utilisation of public funds by the previous government or any other government and the state officials within the legal framework of the state mechanism, despite any party divisions. He said that the committee will look into the audit report submitted by several state institutions for the years 2018 and 2019. He said that extensive discussions will also be held over various issues and financial irregularities of state institutes which have completed the auditing process before the Committee on Public Enterprises.
And the former President Maithripala Sirisena appeared before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on the Easter Sunday attacks for the first occasion today. He was summoned by the Commission in regard to a media statement made by him accusing the former Defence Secretary Hemasri Fernando of making false statements. The private secretary of the former President Maithripala Sirisena had issued a media notice on last 20th accusing the former Defence Secretary Hemasri Fernando for making false statements before the Presidential Commission. Accordingly, Dilshan Jayasuriya, counsel of Hemasri Fernando, had complained to the Commission yesterday claiming that his client was experiencing a gast in this regard. Considering the facts, former president was urged to explain facts before the Presidential Commission through a counsel. Maitri Gunaratne, the President's counsel, on behalf of former President Maithripala Sirisena, had said that the objection manifested by the counsel of Hemasiri Fernando in regard of the notice issued by the former President's private secretary is an action of objecting the locution independence. Also, Counsel Maitri Gunaratne made the Commission aware that the notice issued by the Archbishop of Colombo, Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit, in regard of the parliamentarian Harin Fernando's statement is similar to the notice issued by the former President Maithripala Sirisena. He also expressed that the notice was not made to insult the Commission. The Council, on behalf of the Archbishop of Colombo, said that the notice issued by the Archbishop was made in order to avoid the Catholic community being off track. Taking facts into consideration, an additional Solicitor General of the Commission said that they personally disagree on individuals issuing statements on the activities of the Commission. The additional Solicitor General said that the notice issued by Maithripala Sirisena had criticized the facts which were recorded by Hemasiri Fernando before the Commission, and also said that the notice had not honored the powers and authorities of the Presidential Commission. The additional Solicitor General also made aware that pressuring the witnesses is similar as pressuring the activities of the Commission. Accordingly, the additional Solicitor General said that she agrees with the party which filed the complaint in this regard to call in the former President's private secretary, Samira de Silva, before the Presidential Commission in order to inquire explanations in this regard. Counsel Dilshan Jayasuriya, on behalf of Hemasiri Fernando, requested the Commission to take necessary legal actions against the former President Maithripala Sirisena and his private secretary. The chairing judge of the Commission said that the decision in this regard will be announced tomorrow. Also, the Commission has ordered the former President Maithripala Sirisena and former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to appear before the Commission on the 5th and 6th October respectively. Meanwhile, former IGP Pujit Jayasundara recorded statements before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on the Easter Sunday attacks for the first occasion today. Responding to a query made by the State Additional Solicitor General, the witness said that Nilantha Jayawardene has served as a senior DIG under him during his time in office as a senior DIG in charge of the Northern Province from December 2013 until January 2015.
Now, head of the Presidential Task Force for Economic Revival and Poverty Alleviation, Basil Rajapaksa says that a total of 2.4 million home gardens across the country will be separated for crop cultivation and animal husbandry. This project will be initiated under the National Home Gardening Programme. Head of the Presidential Task Force for Economic Revival and Poverty Alleviation, Basil Rajapaksa, made these observations during a discussion held with the officials of the state institutes connected to the home gardening program at Temple Tree's premises today. The aim of the project is to build an economically, socially and environmentally prosperous nation, realizing the concept productive citizen, happy family. The National Crop Cultivation Program will commence in the forthcoming Maha season while prioritizing the development of the household economy. The process to identify home gardens has been initiated through Grama Niladhari Samur, the Agri, Economic and Family Health Services officers. The empowerment of women by facilitating them with an economic condition to support the household economy while preventing them from seeking employment opportunities in Middle Eastern countries is another prime objective of the program. The head of the Presidential Task Force, Basil Rajapaksa, said that special attention will be directed in safeguarding the water resources while promoting varieties of environmentally friendly and soil protective plants. He emphasized that the government is expecting to fulfill the demand for toxin-free rural products while encouraging producers to up the export levels. Secretaries of the ministries and heads of state institutions and departments were present at the occasion.
Police spokesman SSP Jalia Senaratne says that another change will occur in the bus priority lane from tomorrow onwards. Only passenger transport buses, office transport services vehicles and school services vehicles will occupy the bus priority lane from tomorrow. Police spokesman SSP Jalia Senaratne said that the lane law will be enforced tomorrow up to the distances marked as bus priority lane, and only passenger transport buses, office transport services vehicles and school services vehicles can occupy the bus priority lane. He said that while occupying the lane, if a bus has to overtake another bus stopped ahead in a bus stop for passengers, then it can occupy the second lane to overtake the bus stopped at the halt. He added that the buses will not be allowed to overtake another bus in another areas. He said that in roads with lanes, the drivers of other vehicles have been requested to only occupy the second lane. He requested the drivers to maintain the vehicles closer to the dividing lane on the left-hand side of the road, allowing the opportunity for the riders of motorcycles to overtake the vehicles occupying the second lane. He said that if the road is consisting of more than 2 lanes, the motorcyclists and three-wheelers will be permitted to occupy the second or third lane. He added that the other vehicles will be permitted to occupy the third lane. He said that at an instance of a vehicular congestion, the vehicles will be permitted to occupy other lanes to avoid the congestion.
Now, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has decided to visit the general public to give swift solutions to their grievances at the village level. Now, the Haltumulla Divisional Secretariat Division of the Badulla district has been selected for the first inspection tour. The public gathering will be held at the Kumarathanna Vidyalaya 100-acre village, Haputule, next Friday, September 25th, beginning at 10 a.m. While touring the country during the presidential and general election campaigns, President Rajapaksa came to realize that people in remote areas suffer a great deal due to a number of long-drawn, unresolved economic and social problems. Issues pertaining to livelihood, shortage of lands and houses, unavailability of undisputed deeds for lands, inadequate health and transportation facilities, shortages in school and other educational issues, inaccessibility to drinking and farming water, elephant intrusions and difficulty in selling their produce were some of the major difficulties that were identified. The inefficient and lethargic conduct of the public institutions which are entrusted with the task of identifying and solving the issues of the rural communities is another prominent problem. The President's inspection visits to the villages are organized, giving priority to the people. The expenditures relating to these tours are kept at minimum possible levels. Officials from Colombo will not accompany the President. When solving the issues, public officials in respective areas will be involved. People are requested to apprise of the President their grievances at the public meetings. The objective of the President is to provide solutions for the public issues on the spot in every possible circumstances. The issues which will take time to solve will be noted down for future reference.
We now take a look at the coronavirus situation from around the world. More than 31.5 million people around the world have been diagnosed with the novel coronavirus, and the global death toll was nearing the 1 million mark, with more than 23.1 million people having recovered from the disease thus far. The death toll from the COVID-19 in the United States was nearing 200,000 today, accounting for more than 1 in 5 deaths globally. The United States remains the worst hit nation, accounting for more than 20% of the world's death toll. Brazil has the world's second highest COVID-19 death toll after the United States and the third largest outbreak behind the United States and India. The US case count has increased up to 7.04 million, with the national death toll nearing 200,000 in the last 24 hours. Brazil has recorded 13,439 new cases and 377 more deaths in the past 24 hours, lifting the country's COVID-19 tally to 4.55 million cases and death toll to more than 137,000. India has reported 75,083 new cases of the novel coronavirus in the last 24 hours, the lowest daily tally in almost a month. India also reported a record number of single-day recoveries, with 101,468 people in 24 hours now virus-free, taking the total nearing 4.5 million. With more than 5.5 million cases, India is behind only the United States in the total number of confirmed infections, and it has the third highest number of deaths worldwide with nearly 89,000. Gripped by a second surge of the pandemic, the United Kingdom registered 4,368 new cases yesterday, nearing its total of to 400,000. Due to a significant surge in infections, the UK has upgraded its coronavirus alert level from 3 to 4, indicating a high or rising exponentially crisis situation. France confirmed 5,298 new COVID-19 cases over the past 24 hours, taking the nationwide tally to over 458,000. The overall deaths linked to the virus went up by 53 to 31,338. In Spain, the number of people who have tested positive for COVID-19 reached 671,468 as of yesterday, after 2,957 infections were recorded in the past 24 hours. The death toll stood at 30,663. Meanwhile, South Korea recorded 70 new coronavirus cases in the past 24 hours, dipping below 100 for 2 days. The daily increase brought the nationwide tally to 23,045.
Now, in the meantime, South Korea suspended free flu shots today after reports of problems in storing the vaccinations during transportation, disrupting plans to preemptively ease the burden on a healthcare system already strained by the coronavirus outbreaks.
South Korea suspended its national plan for free flu shots on Tuesday after reported problems with storing the vaccines while they were being transported. It's a serious disruption to the country's plans to preemptively ease the burden on its healthcare system, already strained by a fresh wave of coronavirus outbreaks. The country had planned to start giving the free shots on Tuesday to some 19 million eligible people. The head of South Korea's disease prevention agency, Jong Eun-kyung,
the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency decided to temporarily suspend the country's influenza vaccination programs until the quality is verified, after a reported case of the influenza vaccines that were exposed to inadequate refrigeration temperature during distribution.
South Korea, which has seen a spike in coronavirus cases since August, planned to procure 20% more flu vaccines this winter than the year prior to reduce the risk of people contracting the flu and COVID-19 simultaneously. It was not immediately known how many vaccine doses have been botched, and authorities are looking into the entire batch of 5 million shots that were scheduled for distribution Tuesday. Jong added that some 118,000 people have gotten the flu shots already, and no adverse effects have been reported so far.
Parliamentarian Shiven Sature Chandrakant has been appointed as the co-chair of the Batticaloa District Coordinating Committee. The newly elected co-chairman received the appointment letter from Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today at the parliamentary complex. Parliamentarian Shiven Sature Chandrakant was appointed as the co-chair of the Batticaloa District Coordinating Committee by the President when appointing co-chairpersons for the district coordinating committees.
Now, new urban planning is an essential feature amongst other progressive aspects, including road networks, expressways and commercial buildings significant for a country. Now, stepping towards development, today we bring you the latest update on a beautified space in the outskirts of Colombo to spend your leisure times joyfully. This feature will focus on the Theatre Uyana Park in Battaramulla. Theravana holds a significant position among the tanks developed with the aim to mitigate the flooding situation in Colombo city due to its high environmental value and splendor. The Uyana Park, built along the banks of the Theravana, is a romantic paradise which heightens the environmental value and splendor of its surroundings. Many approaches the Uyana premises daily for leisure, entertainment and various new invention requirements and physical exercise. A systematic complex for sales outlets for the scattered small-scale self-employed entrepreneurs can also be seen at the park. The initial proceedings of the park commenced under the guidance of then Secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development and Defence, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, in accordance to the instructions of then President and current Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Now, it is prohibited to bring any food items or musical instruments for those who visit this environment, since the splendor of the park has been severely affected due to inappropriate and inhumane behaviors of certain individuals. Now, the life of this fish captured in the footage could have been destroyed due to such behavior of certain individuals.
9 individuals, including Sapugas Kandachuti, who was identified as the main distributor of heroin in the Kurunegala area, have been taken into custody by the Kurunegala police in possession of 300 grams of heroin. Suspects were arrested following 2 raids conducted jointly by the Special Task Unit of Kurunegala Police and the Divisional Intelligence officials. The suspect named Sapugas Kandachuti has been identified as the main distributor of heroin to the Kurunegala area. He was arrested yesterday in possession of 50 grams of heroin in Gonawala, Kalaniya. Following up on information revealed by him, another suspect was arrested while inspecting a 3-wheeler in Kiribatgoj Day. 250 grams of heroin was recovered from the suspect upon inspection of the rented house of Chuti. 5 mobile phones, 2 electronic scales, 60,000 in cash and 7 passbooks were recovered. It was revealed that the racket was conducted by an inmate of Valikada prison named Tarzan. A magazine of live ammunition used in a T-56 weapon, a hand grenade and a bulk of various ammunition was seized buried in a coconut land in Wakumulla, Veerakatia. The raid was conducted by the officers of Police Special Task Force Tangol. A suspect named Asanka alias Chaturanga has been arrested yesterday in Halmulla, Vallampitia in possession of more than 53 grams of heroin. The suspect was identified as an accomplice of an inmate of Valikada prison identified as Kalutushara.
Now, today is the 5th day of the Colombo International Book Fair. A massive gathering of readers visited the BMICH to be part of the annual event. Now, on national television's Charita Minupurarachi is bringing you the latest update on the Colombo International Book Fair from the BMICH premises.
We are here at the BMICH and this is the 5th day of the Colombo International Book Fair, which is the largest book exhibition here in Sri Lanka. This is the 22nd edition of the Colombo International Book Fair, which is organized by the Sri Lanka Book Publishers Association. So this time, the book fair proceeds in a separate way. We have strictly implemented safety measures due to the ongoing coronavirus outbreak. So if you have not made any opportunity, so if you have not yet come to the book fair, please visit. So this will continue till the 27th of this month and the doors will be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. The official electronic media partner for this book fair continuously is the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation.
Continuing with more local stories, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on Political Victimization criticized the behavior of the presently suspended former Kadula magistrate Dhammika Hemapala on today as well. The criticism was levelled when a complaint lodged with the Commission by the Director General of Samurdhi Bandula Tilakasiri. Director General of Samurdhi Bandula Tilakasiri has lodged the complaint citing that he was arrested and remanded with the intention of political revenge in connection to the incidents related to the distribution of concessions under the Isurumat housing program, and also on the distribution of compensation and gratuity for the employees who voluntarily resigned from their respective posts during the transformation of Divinagama Department when he held the post of Additional Director General of Divinagama Department. He mentioned that even though bail could have been granted for him and others who were arrested on these charges when they were presented before the Kadula Magistrates Court in 2015, then Kadula Magistrate Dhammika Hemapala refused to grant bail for him without considering in this regard. The attorney representing the complainant said that the relevant charges had been filed against the complainant under the Money Laundering Act by the Financial Crimes Investigation Bureau, even though the charges should have been filed under the Public Assets Act. The Commission criticized the former magistrate and the Department of Attorney General on the failure to take relevant measures to probe this issue. The complainant said that the State Counsel Tusid Mudalige, appearing for the Department of Attorney General, made observations before the Magistrates Court over these court cases. He said that the State Council is a member of the Swift Response Committee of the illegally established Anti-Corruption Committee. The complainant further mentioned that the then Kadula magistrate refused to grant bail without even considering the submissions presented to the court during several occasions when the case was taken up for hearing.
Now, in more local stories, police have indicated that if the relevant construction of the recently collapsed 5-story building in Valikada Kandy has been proven to be carried out without adhering to the relevant legal procedures, then action will be taken against those individuals under the Penal Code. Now, the 5-storied building in Sangamita Lane, Bhuvalikadu, Kandy was collapsed on top of a hotel which was situated below the said building on September 19th early morning. Lives of a mother, father and an infant who were residing in the hotel had succumbed to injuries from the accident. The remains of the deceased were taken to another house belonging to them in Bhuvalikadu last night. The final rites of the deceased family will be carried out tomorrow at the Mahiyava Cemetery in Kandy.
The international video conference on the theme 50 Years of Vietnam-Sri Lanka Relations, Achievement and Prospects was held in Colombo today. The conference, held to celebrate the 50 years bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and Vietnam, was held with the presence of Admiral Professor Janath Kolabage, Secretary to the Foreign Ministry and the Ambassador to Vietnam in Colombo, Pham Thai Bech Ngoc.
Over the years, Sri Lanka and Vietnam have focused on principal areas of collaboration to enhance its bilateral economic relations such as preferential trade agreement, technology transfer, investment opportunities such as ICT, agriculture and aquaculture, tourism and aviation, exchanges between educational institutes. In the aftermath of the containing of the pandemic, His Excellency the President of Sri Lanka has focused its policies on 3 pillars: national security, national economy, foreign relations. These key policies intend to shift from traditional political diplomacy to promoting economic diplomacy. The government plans afoot to transform Sri Lanka's economic model from an import-dependent economy to an export-oriented economy. Strengthening of bilateral relations with Vietnam will be significant for Sri Lanka in this new era. Vietnam and Sri Lanka's efforts not that.
And that's it for tonight's news. Do watch us tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Good night.